Hello, people. I'd like to introduce you to my guest today, Bobby Luisi. And let me just tell you something. One of the things about putting the drama to the side is Bobby Luisi was always weary about getting involved in it. When he's seen that I worked on my channel, uh, he's given me this opportunity. So, Bobby, I'd like to say thank you. And for the other people out there, just look at what I did with my channel, and maybe everybody should just take this into consideration. And so, Bobby, how you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for having me on today, Lee.
I appreciate it. And I was just telling Bobby, if you want to read about a real gangster and a real gangster's life, it's kind of overwhelming when I read about your life, Bobby. I mean, it's you've been through it all.
Yeah, I have. I didn't come up easy especially in the life. I didn't come up easy. I came up during a wartime.
Now, when you started, uh, so let me get this straight. You were out of you came into the family in the '90s, in the early '90s or the late '80s.
Well, well, I grew up in Boston,
Right,
and I grew up with the Patriarchas.
right.
And my father was an enforcer and proposed in the Patriarcha family. The war broke out in the '90s, and there was a lot of problems up here. The Patriarcha family was in disarray. I had a big crew myself, spread out all over the cities, and I had a falling out with a capo in the Patriarcha family. And I ended up going down to Philly and got made in the Philly family by Joey Molino.
Right, Molino. And now, was the Boston family? Did it break up right away after you left? I mean, it just lost its power after that horrible war.
Well, it wasn't just my crew and the Patriarchas. We were obviously there was a war in the '90s. We were strong in the '90s. I think after 2000, when I got picked up in '99, June of '99, La Cosa Nostra, started taking a bad spiral downhill, and I believe that's through the country. You know,
And during this time, another and one of these horrible things that happened in your life, uh, it was a massacre at a restaurant called the 99. Was that the name of it?
yeah, the '99 restaurant. Yeah, I
And
lost four people that day,
your father, your brother, and uncle and a friend. Was that it?
and a cousin.
And a cousin. I mean, so where were you when you found out this happened?
I was actually home. The guys that actually did the shooting invited me there for lunch, and I didn't go. I had another meeting with another friend, if you know what I mean. And they were down in the '99. My family walked in. They panicked. They called me. I told them, listen, just get up and get out of there. There's 200 people in the restaurant. Because I know how I go in there. I know how crowded it was. I used to meet the Charlestown guys in there, the
Right.
Irish guys. Just get out of there. Go out the side door. But what happened, Damien, when Vinny Perez was calling me, Damien was calling his father. And, Cleo, was no pushover. And Cleo came down to the restaurant. I thought they had left the kids. I wasn't sure. Cleo went down to the restaurant and, argument broke out and he started shooting. And
Was
that's what ended up happening.
was your father and his group, were they armed at that time, or
No, no.
they
My
weren't?
family was armed. There would have been a shootout in there.
Right.
It was just one sided.
Yeah, the and what would I understand too? Now Perez was found innocent.
Yes, he
Right.
was. Vinny never pulled his gun out. Vinny never did anything wrong, but he was there.
And the other two guys were found guilty, and then I believe they tried to file an appeal, and that got rejected, and they're still in
Yeah,
prison.
yeah. Well, Cleo did most of the shooting. I think Damien shot the bullet that killed my father.
Hmm.
Hit him in the head.
Well, that's just one of those horrible things. But Boston, and now that you're talking about the Charlestown guys, so did you know Whitey Bulger?
No, I didn't know Whitey. I never had any dealings with him.
Now, how did Charlestown guys feel about him, the Irish guys?
I don't think they really cared too much for him.
Yeah, because back in 80 and 81, I worked down in the combat zone,
Yeah,
and he came into the sixes one night, and I remember Teddy Venus comes up to me. He's the one that controlled the combat zone. He had most of the places there, not all of them, most of them. And he told me, don't even go over there and talk to that guy because he's crazy. He says, if you say the wrong thing to him, you may not think it's the wrong thing, but he may. So he said, don't even talk to him. So I always remembered him telling me that about Whitey.
Whitey was involved in 13 murders. Bad with some of them were women, not good. He was a bad guy. Take nothing away from him. He was a gangster. He made millions on the street. Him and Stevie Flemmi.
Right.
They were the last guy standing with the Winter Hill gang and the Salty guys. So, naturally, Whitey became the boss over there in Salty, and he had his crew over there. But a lot of guys didn't care for Whitey. He didn't have the control that people thinks that he had. Right. But he was involved in heavy things, and I won't take that away from him. But
the one thing he had was the FBI behind him.
And he had the FBI.
Yeah. Now that was Patriot. Okay, so you got Raymond Patriarch. He died of a heart attack, right? And then you had Jerry Angulo. He went to jail. Now, when he went to prison, was that because of the testimony from all the information that Whitey was given at that time?
Well, Whitey and Stevie Flemmi helped the FBI. They had a club. Jerry had a club on Prince Street, where I grew up on Prince Street. The doghouse, they called it.
All right.
Because he was always barking. Anyway, and he had a few dogs in there. Anyway, they drugged the dogs. The FBI went in. They wired up the place. And they had constant surveillance on them on the outside, too, of the club. And they picked them up talking about a lot of things they should have been talking about. Plus what other information Whitey and Stevie had given them at the time. But they weren't recognized at the time as being informants. But they did help the FBI. They gave them the layout of it would be like going in a guy's apartment that they're going to raid and telling them where the bedroom is, where the bathroom is, and drawing it on a diagram. That's just what they did. And they went in and burnt the place.
And Teddy Venus ran the combat zone, but he did it only with the blessing of the Angulos. They gave him the blessing. Otherwise, he doesn't run that.
No, not at all. Actually, when I was a kid, like 11, 12 years old, 13, my father was running a strip joint on Grange Street. This was in the 70s. That's where I first really met all, the wise guys. Ralphie Chong used to come up there, Richie Gambale, Johnny Ciccardi. I started meeting those guys up there and getting to know them. I used to go up there every week. My father used to give me and my sister $25 a piece.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, I used to take the train from East Boston and go up to Combat Zone. Yeah. It was funny, and that was my first introduction to all of that.
As sleazy as that
Rippers and the wise guys, and
as sleazy as that area was, they had great restaurants.
Oh, they did.
And
well, it's not there anymore. I mean, now it's all commercial.
It's like Times Square. It's gone.
Yeah.
The two sleaziest places in the country are gone.
I think the last place I remember open up there was the Naked Eye on the corner.
Naked Eye, yeah.
Last place I remember being open.
And Boston Bunnies was there too. And I was there the year the Boston Bunnies was built.
Oh, okay.
They were just building it that year. And I knew it was open for several years. But in the end, I believe even Teddy went to prison. So everybody went to prison. But
everybody was at the end.
So after these two guys, so you had Patriarch died, and Angulo goes to prison. So now you're going to have a battle. I mean, you had two.
Well, I'll tell you the layout.
Okay.
What happened? Raymond left it to his son, Junior, and Junior wasn't really a gangster. He shouldn't have been left that. And Billy Grasso was his underboss. Frankie Salemme was around him. Actually, Frankie Salemme became the boss of the family. He was like a usurper. Long story short, they went to kill Frankie Salemme. and Billy Gracia they killed in Connecticut down that end. And there was a battle then over the family. To make an appeasement, Raymond Petriacca Jr. came up to Boston, and they had a ceremony, which the FBI got on tape. And I think at that point, there was no more commission seat for the Petriacca family anyway after Raymond died. And they got caught on tape doing that, and that was to make amends. And Raymond was going to stay the boss. But what happened, Raymond went away, Raymond Jr. Frankie, snuck in that seat. He took it over. And that's where the battle started because the old faction didn't want Frankie there. See, Frankie Salemme was half Irish.
Right.
The old man Petriacca would never make him. It's the son that made him. And he wasn't respected to be in that position in Boston from the Boston guys, even though he was from Dorchester, South Boston area. He still wasn't respected to be in that position. So the Boston guys rebelled against him.
And you had all sorts of people dying, even club owners. I think it was like 12 guys were killed in that battle. They probably many more that they don't even talk about.
Yeah.
But this guy Salemme, he's actually didn't he turn evidence? And what happened to Salemme?
Yeah, he became a witness. He did become a witness. Actually, I was at Plymouth at the same time with him. I was in C block. I think Frankie was in D block. When I first went in there, I was in there with Frankie. But we really didn't talk because at my point, I was starting to take everything over.
Right.
So there was a little friction between me and Frankie. He sent me out a few messages, asked me nicely to leave a few people alone, and I wouldn't. I said no. So there wasn't a good relationship between the two of us. I'm in there. I'm only in that block for about a week. They moved me out. Frankie was in that block for 5 years. They were waiting trial, 4 or 5 years. So he had a little more seniority in there. I guess he knew everybody, and they moved me. But I really wasn't getting along with him in there.
Is he still alive?
I think Frankie's still alive. He's got a life sentence now because he lied about a murder, got caught, came back in, and I think he has life now.
Oh, so he got out for a while, right?
I think he was in Georgia. I think they put him in Georgia on the witness protection program. And then Stevie Fleming talked about another murder that Frankie denied. And
this is what people don't realize. When you talk to the FBI and you give evidence,
you
better give them everything because somewhere along the line, and you see this happen all the time, somewhere along the line, somebody else comes out and says, hey, he did this. Next thing you know, your deal is dropped. We see how many times have we seen that happen?
Oh yeah,
and so then you go down to Philadelphia and you're down there with Merlino and a few other people, but then you get introduced to an FBI undercover informant, Ron Previte, right? Previty, okay.
Yeah, Ron Previty was an informant. He was working with Joey. He was made in the Stanford crew, and he was going to Joey and Ralphie, and you know how the FBI is. They will push your money on Joey, push your money on Ralphie to get him back into the crew, back into the fold. So he was supposedly an earner, which I don't believe he was. To me, he was a jerk off. But anyway, so now supposedly he had a guy up in Boston was having problems. I sat with the guy. I told him, anybody bothers you, tell them you're with the Luisi family. They'll leave you alone. And I put him with one of my guys. And everything was going fine and till the point they wanted to start buying drugs. So I was pushing that away. I didn't want to do that. Finally, it got to the point where, Joey kept asking me to help them. Joey didn't tell me to deal drugs. Joey just says, you got to help these guys out. Joey was my boss. I was his capo. Right. I might have been a boss in Boston, but I was a capo in the Philly family, and Joey was my boss. So I ended up sitting with the agent with this drug bullshit, and they got us. That's how they got me. Even the FBI said at Boston, they said, Bobby, we didn't even have a way to get into you because I cushioned myself. But when the drugs came in the picture, I didn't want to jeopardize my guys, knowing that there might be something wrong here, because we felt there was something wrong. And I put myself up front on that, and I ended up getting pinched for it.
And you wind up doing 2 of 12 years, is that correct? And
No, I did actually 14. They asked me to cooperate in the beginning because I was getting superseded on murder charges. So I decided to, my friends up here that I thought, well, my friends were ratting on me up here. Why I was picked up and I was in Plymouth fighting this drug case. I thought I was only going to do 10 to 12. What happens is Monty Bedroll comes to see me. He was an AUSA, just left that office, and luckily went into my lawyer's office. He said, Bobby, you're getting indicted on a murder. You're not going to get out. He says, I'll try to get you the 10 to 12 on this case, but you're going to get superseded when the next grand jury sits. He wanted me to go right in and talk. I said I wouldn't. It took me a few weeks. And then I said, I can't do this no more. I would have been very happy to go do my 10 to 12, come out and go retire, because I didn't want anything to do with the mob again. But they put my back up against the wall.
right.
So I ended up talking. But during the course of the talking, the negotiations broke down. I told them about a few murders. I didn't tell them everything. I told them about a few murders. There was a plea deal, but I started fighting with them. And I was able to pull my plea deal back down and go to trial on my underlying indictment, which was the cocaine. So I went to trial. I lost. I got 20 years. Luckily, when my appeal was done, I won an appeal. I was the first one to overturn a drug case in Boston. Went back to trial, and I lost again, but they couldn't give me the leadership role anymore. They had, Joey was the leader. So they took, I don't know how many points off, and they took 47 months off. So I ended up with 15-8, and I did 13-9 total.
And you pretty much, you never testified.
Never, no.
So you never testified against anybody.
No.
And at that point you're down. So when you get out, you go to Tennessee, is that correct?
Right.
And your name is Alonzo Esposito.
Yeah, what happens, I did all my time. I was ready to get out. I was in Allenwood, Pennsylvania, during the end of my bit. And they got in touch with me over the artwork. I know there was a big art robbery up here in 1990, Garden Museum.
Very famous.
Yeah, and the guys that were around me did that, supposedly. So they came, they wanted to know what I knew about it. I told them. They said, if you help us, Now, my friend that told me this already passed away, Bobby Luisi, so I wasn't worried about it. I couldn't rat on him. He was dead. I says, yeah, I'll help you, tell you whatever I can. Then I get another visit from the FBI in Boston. They want to know where I'm going because I'm getting subpoenaed to a trial. So they said, listen, if you help us with the trial, the artwork, all of this, we'll put you in the witness protection program. Now, the person was Enrico Ponzo. He was a bad kid. I was looking to kill him myself. Almost had him a few times. Anyway, he ran away like Whitey did. He was missing for like 13 years. They found him, I think in Ohio, on a farm. I don't know what the hell it was. And I ended up sitting on his trial, but I never committed a crime with Rico. So I wasn't there to rat on him. They asked me just to give the layout because I was the boss up there at the time. They just wanted the layout of LCN in the 90s when I was the boss.
Right.
And that's basically what I did. I never committed a crime. I couldn't tell on anything.
And let's get back to something fun. That art robbery. That art robbery was the biggest heist in the history of art. Am I correct? There was never a heist like that. And it was like very little security. The guy inside, they always thought he was involved, if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then he mysteriously died, I believe.
I don't know. I don't remember what happened with him.
Yeah, but so what do you think ever happened to that art? Well,
like I said, I can only say theory. Bobby had told me one time the yacht was buried under a slab in Florida. I'm not a fence. I didn't know how to move it, to be honest with you. But at that time, we were in connection with New York and Philadelphia. So Bobby Granty, we called the Monk. So Monk figured, between the connections that I made, we can move the stuff. But I never pursued it. What I believe happened, I think somebody wanted something in there, and they went in and they robbed it, and they helped themselves to everything else. So they kept some pieces, and I think some pieces a collector got, to be honest with you.
That's when you look for the sheiks. I mean, where are you going to sell that stuff? It's so hot.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
It's almost impossible to give it. And some of that art that was left behind, this is how you know they weren't experts. Some of the art left behind was very valuable. And they just took certain things, but if I remember, because Netflix did a special on this.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting special. And I remember the art robbery when it happened, but to think that quite a bit about it is kind of, it's kind of exciting because all the people involved, especially when you were watching that special. But I guess that they're never going to find that stuff.
No, they're never going to find that. They'll never find it.
Yeah, that'll come up in an auction somewhere in about 50 years.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So you go down to Tennessee and you start working in construction. So when you got out, did you say to yourself, I'm done with this life. I'm not going to do this anymore?
I was done with the life the day I got arrested in 1999.
Right.
I really didn't want nothing else to do with it, to be honest with you. I had found Christ on the street 15 months before I got arrested. And I was just disillusioned with the life, with all the informants, with the rats, with all the treachery and everything that was going on. And I just, the higher you climb on that ladder in the LCN, the deeper you climb into the pit. And you start to see the real shit and the real people. And I just had enough of it.
Right.
And like I said, if I had just kept it real and got my 10 to 12, I would have went and did that time, come out, and I would have retired and went to Florida. Started construction, I would have did something else. Still would have been a young guy to come out, When I found out about the murder charges, that changed everything. They actually turned me into an informant.
Well, and that's what they do to a lot of people. I mean, a matter of fact, Jimmy Clandra speaks about it. He gets out, he does his time, and all of a sudden, 10 months out, he's pulled over. They arrest him, and the next thing he knows, something from the past comes back and haunts him.
See, that's the problem with the life. Now, I was with all Jimmy's co-defendants. I was with Joey Calico. I was with all these guys. Right. Gerard, Chris, I was with them all. And I knew about Jimmy before I even seen him on YouTube. And I really liked Jimmy. They had a back crew. They did a lot of work, that crew. That crew was a back crew. And I got a lot of respect for Jimmy. Doing what he's doing right now and the way he changed his life. So you get guys like Jimmy, you get guys like myself, you get guys like Sammy, and we just get all disillusioned with this life. You hit a point with it that you just don't want it no more, and people don't understand that. They want to come on these rat shows, talk about people, talk about this, talk about that. These are guys that can never fill our shoes, Lee, They like to no idea what we were up against or what we had to do. Or the people you killed trying to survive every day.
It's amazing how many tough guys you get when they're sitting at home and they don't understand what it means when they say to you, we're going to put you away for the rest of your life.
Right. Exactly.
And especially if you have children out there, if you're in love with somebody, it could be 1,000 things, and
I say it all the time, Lee. If they caught me killing someone, myself, I have to get caught. I got to do the time. But when there's a half a dozen guys telling on you and they want to go home on your back, that changes your whole look to everything. You understand?
Yeah.
Changes the whole outlook on everything. I'm not going to be the sucker in the pink cushion anymore. That's what I decided.
Yeah, people, there's nothing. Any ending in that life is not a good ending.
No.
And even if you get out of the life,
Hmm.
I mean, there's always you got all those bad memories,
Hmm.
and any normal human being, if you hurt somebody, and it's probably hard to get rid of those things in your mind.
Well,
Um,
it really wasn't for me, but moving on and becoming a Christian and a pastor and studying helped me a lot, I guess, with that, you know. But I never really had any regret. I felt I was a soldier in a war and I did what I had to do. There's a
so when
lot of
you, yeah,
guys that went to Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever they went, seen a lot of bad things. They couldn't handle it.
yes,
I
a lot.
understand that. And I understand that because I know the things that we had to do and the way we had to live under stress every day, But to be a real gangster, you got to be able to handle whatever you're asked to do.
And nobody can imagine what it's like to every day get up and think that somebody's waiting around the corner to put a bullet in you.
And that's
You
how
know,
it was here for several years. That's how it was. There were a
but
few attempts on my life. Thank God I'm still sitting here. It
and
happens.
sometimes it's by inch. Sometimes you escape by inches.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, I was speaking to Gene Barillo, and he was talking to me about when he was trying to kill somebody one time. He shot into the car, and the bullets hit everything but the guy.
Yeah. That happens.
And yeah, it happens. And then people would make remarks, "Oh, Gene's just a bad shot," or something like that. You know, they don't realize when you empty out a gun and you're shooting at a moving vehicle, it's not that easy. You
Listen, I
know,
was involved in a shooting. I'll say this because the guy lived. I'll talk about it. Got shot 5 times. I was chasing him with a knife. He got away from me. Like a deer, he was running with 5 bullets in him.
wow.
Okay? Listen, you don't never know what's going to happen when you're out there. Believe me, I've seen a lot of weird things, and a lot of weird things happen, you know?
You got a guy that gets shot in the arm and dies. You got a guy shot in the head and he lives. I
Yeah.
mean, you just never know.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about finding God, what happened? Were you just out in the street one day? You met somebody? How did it start?
No, I come home one night, I was drunk. It was like 2, 3 in the morning, and there was something in my house. And I had a spiritual encounter with a demonic being that lasted more than 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I wrote about it in my book. I don't talk about it too much because it's going to be coming out in my other book.
Right.
I have a manager with my books and everything, and he tells me to be careful what I talk about. So,
Yeah.
but I was sitting with this thing, I could say that, for over 8 hours. So finally, I had to call the church. My mother had a church. Pastor Lewis came over the house, and we're all non-denominational Christians. And they blessed the house. They took the host that night, and after that, I just had to start studying to see why this happened to me.
And
You
how
know,
long did you study before you became a pastor?
well, I did 14 years in prison. During the time in prison, I got a degree in theology.
Oh,
I wrote a book. It's up on Amazon, God's Plans Revealed by Bobby Luisi. It's been selling pretty good. I taught a 24-week creationism course, and that's the summary of the course. That's in the book. Eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start breaking the book down on YouTube on a separate channel and start teaching again.
and the book that you have out besides that, what's the name of that book?
So the one I have out right now is God's Plans Revealed. The book that's coming out right now is Blood Rivalry, but the publisher might change the name of it. We're not sure yet. I'll announce that when that comes out.
Is that going to dive into everything that happened up in Boston? And
It's going to dive into the war in the 90s, Boston, my personal life with my family. Yeah, it's going to be a good book.
when your father was killed, were you close to him?
Close to him?
Yeah, I mean, did you have a good relationship, or you don't have to answer that if you don't want. I was just wondering because it's one of those things.
Yeah, I had a weird relationship with my father.
Oh, that sounds like me. So
Yeah, my mother and father were divorced when I wasn't even 2 years old. And I had two other brothers. My father had two more sons. Actually, I had four brothers. And, one of them got killed. Roman got killed in the 99 with my father. And, those were more of his kids than I were, than I was. I feel.
Right.
No jealousy of them. I love my brothers. It's just that's my father couldn't share that love with everybody. So, we tried. We did the best we could, me and him. I know there was a love there from both of us. He was my father, but it wasn't a good bond.
And he was known as a very serious man.
Serious man, tough guy, murderer, whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I studied on him too, and he was a very tough guy.
Yeah.
He was no joke, and the fact that he went the way he went is very, it's just that proves right there. You never know when it's your time. You just never know.
No.
And I did a show yesterday on Crazy Chris. I don't know if I don't know if you watched it, but it was about a guy that was in Howard Beach, and the Bonanos went after him, and he was a one-man army, and they couldn't get to him, and they were literally scared of one guy.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, because
I've
he was
seen that in Boston. I've seen that. Yeah.
They tried to kill him, and when they failed to kill him, he went and machine gunned Gene Barillo's house.
Yeah.
It's just like that, and it's the more I hear about this stuff, I'll tell you, I can understand what people are saying when they say not to be in this life. It's a horrible life.
It is.
And you just can't imagine it. And so, okay, so you find God, but I'm going to tell you something. This is the most amazing thing to me. This thing in YouTube.
Yeah.
Can you ever, just picture, you and I, we're the same age.
Yeah.
Just picture back in the time. We're used to a certain way of life. There's no computers. We're growing up a certain way. And here we are, a couple of guys our age, and we are on YouTube.
Yeah.
We're doing an interview like this right now.
I could have never imagined this, my friend. Never. No.
I was telling somebody, actually, I was talking about it today. Did you ever think we have like literally computers in our hand? And when we were young, to us, a computer was a big thing in the Pentagon.
Listen, my kids had a computer when I went away. I bought one for my kids. It was this big thing with the keyboard, with the tower, all that nonsense the kids wanted it to play on or whatever. And I never looked at it. When I got arrested, I had a beeper and a flip phone. Then I come home to all this technology, and I'm lost. I don't know what to do.
It happened overnight.
Yeah. But now, luckily, I do all my cameras, the shows, I do all my editing, make commercials. I do all that myself now.
And I consider people our age lucky because we got to see two different lifestyles.
Oh, yeah.
A lifestyle without all this crap and a lifestyle with it. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of advantages with it, but life was a lot different without it. And
listen, when we were kids, our big thing was to have a stickball bat, a baseball bat, a glove, and a basketball. That was it. Those were our toys. That's what we went out and played with our friends. Never mind all this nonsense.
And the mafia could not be around anymore, these families, because of cameras, cell phones.
Yep.
I mean, witnesses, people shooting things from the window. You could be in the forest hunting for deer, and they got cameras in the forest now on trees.
Oh, yeah.
They put them all over the place in the forest.
Yeah.
There's cameras everywhere. And
the biggest problem, I think, for anybody on the street, La Cosa Nostra, anybody, is the problems with the informants. That's the biggest problem.
Right.
You never know. I mean, there was a guy with me. I'm not going to say his name. He's got family out there. The time all his life. Older guy. He was in his 60s when he got pinched. You figure this guy's going to stand up. He's never going to go down. First one to flip. You don't know anymore. It's a different world out there. Prison's different. The system's different. They want to RICO people now and give them life. Free predicate acts, 20, 30, 40, 50-year sentences.
Even if you had nothing to do with the murder.
Yeah, just conspiracy.
You don't even have to know about it.
Yeah.
And But I was just talking to an informant recently, and he told me that he's sitting in prison, and he's on his third year. He's not planning on ratting,
Hmm.
and then everybody around him starts ratting. So all of a sudden, he's looking at 100 years,
Yeah,
and
that's what happened to me
yeah.
when I got picked up. Yeah,
So and
that's what
then he's
happened
like,
to me.
yeah, and people don't realize it. You get sentenced to a 3 year sentence, and you're like, okay, I'll do my 3 4 years. And the next thing you know, they come up to you and say, oh, we got you on other stuff. You're going to be the one that takes the fall. We're going to hit you at 50 to 100 years unless you talk.
Yeah,
And I got in trouble with the law, and they used a serious charge on me to get me down to get me to take a felony a long time ago. But
hmm,
they did it. That's how the law operates.
yeah.
It's a very dirty business, very dirty business.
Well, let me tell you what happens. You're on the street like a lion, right? You're roaring, you're taking down the whole city. What happens though when you put the lion in a cage? The lion's all done. Am I right?
Yeah,
And that's what happens to everybody when they go in there.
when I see these young kids getting locked up now, it's sad.
Yeah,
They're taken off the street at 16, 17, 18 years old, and they're put away. They're getting like 50-year sentences. So they have no chance in life, and they're just thrown away.
yeah.
Uh, and only mostly in this country. So, when you really think about it, and it's just sad, this whole thing with the prison system now, especially now with the
Yes.
prison systems being owned by corporations,
Yeah.
and they get fees from the government to have a certain amount of beds filled up. It's like so many things going on here now.
It's big business. Prison is
It,
big business. So many private owners all over the country. It's ridiculous.
it is.
It's a big
I,
enterprise now.
I
Big
was involved.
government spending, you
I
know.
was involved in a case where I got sentenced, and it turned out the judge, who was a Mormon, owned part of the prison in the town.
Yeah, see, that's
So
bad.
so he's here giving out sentences
Yep.
to his prison.
Yep.
Something's wrong here,
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So I want to talk to you. Did you see the Sammy Gravano special the other day?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
What was your opinion of it?
It was okay. I liked it because I'm friends with Sammy,
Right.
Larry Mazda, Anthony Ruggiano. They're all friends of mine. It was just nice to see them up on the TV. I've seen better Sammy interviews. I think they could have did it a little differently, but I still liked it.
I actually like the part with the children because you could still see some anger in the children's, and they're very straightforward
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and I thought that was done very well. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a different approach. They just went at it in a little different way. Some people aren't used to that because some people weren't crazy about it, and other people loved it. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just happy when I see my friends doing good and doing things.
Did you ever think, and I'm going to ask you this question, did you ever think that you would see today that Sammy Gravano actually starts redeeming himself and changing the narrative about him?
No, I mean that was something. You know, I see him on this platform now, and I love it because I love to listen to his stories. I think he's doing a great job with it. And I try. I've had this conversation with Mike Francesi. We're not, we're not in that life anymore. See, I want to explain something to you, Lee. We're not in that life anymore. But La Cosa Nostra is bred inside of us. Because of what Sammy did, they didn't cut his balls off. You understand what I'm telling you?
Yes.
He's still a man. This is a bad guy. He was all his life. This is how he grew up. And that life is still inside of him. In a way, it's still in Mike, too.
Yeah.
It's in John Panisi. It's in me. It's in Paul Tanzo. We talk on these shows, and these trolls look at this and find a way to pick on that. But they can't understand that because they were never in the life. They were never La Cosa Nostra. And in a lot of ways, I'm still La Cosa Nostra. But I'm a Christian. I love Christ. I would never hurt anybody again.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you're on your show, you're kind of a different guy than you are now. I'm interviewing you about serious stuff, And
Hmm.
I see a very serious side of you, and I could tell that you would know when to mess with. I could just get that feeling, you
You know,
know.
thank God I grew up with old timers. You know, I didn't get my knowledge from the Godfather. You know, and I know how to carry myself on the street. I know what to do. You know, Wednesday Night Live is for fun.
Right.
Me and Paulie get on there. Paulie breaks my balls through the whole show. You know, and Paulie's my little brother. You know that, and it's just to have fun with that. That's what Wednesday Night Live is. But when we do interviews and we're talking about serious things like this, you know, the other side of me comes out.
I'll
That
tell you,
gangster side of me more comes out.
and I can see that. That's why, it's kind of like, I like it because I see when I watch that show, then I see this side. This
Yeah.
is the guy that I'm like, oh, well, if I fuck him over in the street, I'm in trouble. And
Well, let me tell you what that side is on Wednesday Night Live. Paulie and I couldn't act like that when we were on the street. We
right.
couldn't have that fun. We couldn't show that side of us.
I can't even picture Paulie having a bad side
Yeah.
watching him on
Oh,
that show.
Paulie could have a bad side. Please
You
believe me.
know,
You know, and the thing is that we decided to do Wednesday Night Live. We decided to have fun with it, and we wanted to do something differently. We didn't want to just keep up this mob genre and talk about this all the time. And that was a way for us to vent. And I'll tell you, it's been very successful. And I'm not even talking the amount of hits and viewers that we get per show, but I'm talking about the viewers that do watch the show, how they love it, how they comment, how they get in touch with us, and how we're trying to help people in our own way. But like I said, when I do something like this, it's a little different. I got a little different attitude. And the thing is that I'm still upset with some of the things that these trolls are talking about and what they're doing and what they're trying to do. That bothers me. If they were men like in my category and they had something to say about my opinion, I want to listen to it.
well, I'm about to ask you something about a certain troll,
Go ahead.
and
Go ahead.
you know who it's going to be. It's going to be MRE.
MRE.
Now MRE, very popular, liked by many, and he's a tough guy when he goes after people. But why don't you tell me about that incident that happened when you kind of went after him, saying that you're going to show who he was?
Listen, I did get a clip, but I went after him to break his balls. Nothing more than that.
Right.
I would never hurt anybody or expose anybody. Actually, I'm subscribed to a show, and I like MRE.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. I do. I'm not going to talk about him.
He's funny. He's funny as hell.
He's a funny bastard. Me and Paulie just said laughing. You know, I
Have you
don't like what he says about a lot of people and my friends. I don't like it. You know, I don't watch all his shows, but it pops up on my thing because I subscribe. You know, and I could look at that in two different ways. You want to take shots and make fun. That's okay. You know, but some of them are getting a little too serious with it. But no, I don't know. I like MRE.
it's kind of funny. If you look at my shows from 4 or 5 months ago, MRE and I kind of went to war. It lasted about a month, 2 months, and it was the worst 2 months of my life on this.
Well, listen, let me tell you. You were getting involved yourself in a lot of things, Lee.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. You know,
Without a
you
doubt.
opened yourself up to this nonsense yourself. You did it. Because I was watching your show earlier, and then I was getting turned off. When I talked to you, when you told me you were changing your platform, and you talked to a few friends of mine, and that made me happy, I said, well, I want to go and do Lee's show. Look how nice this is, what we're doing right now.
So the best interview I've done a lot of interviews. This interview I'm enjoying so much. I feel like it's the best interview I've ever done.
Well, you know what I'm hoping for you, Lee? I hope you get more. I hope you get more. Paulie says, if this is a good interview, I want to do a show too.
And
you know why? If you get in, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. I don't want to be rude.
No problem.
But if you stay on this platform and this content, you're going to be a lot better off.
Yes.
And a lot of people are going to want to watch it. You know, there's only certain people that watch MRE and these other people. There's only certain people that do that. You know that.
Yes.
You know, I'm watching the other night. This is funny. I don't mean to swear, but I'm going to have to.
Oh,
Yeah, listen. So I watched this A-Light show comes on. You know who it is. I-Light,
yes.
whatever it is.
Yes, I like.
Spanish kid, the Spanish kid. So he pulled down the little show I did with Mike Frances. I was on Mike Frances's channel. And we're talking about Cosa Nostra. Of course, he has no idea what we're talking about. But we're talking in general. So actually, like, he thinks we're attacking them. So he says, yeah, that Bobby, that fat cocksucker, he called me. I said, wow, look at this. Look at it. You want to do this over the internet, kid? Now, I wasn't even mad that he did it. I got to be honest with you, you know. But why are you talking like that? Where is this coming from? You don't know me. You know, you're mad because you think we attacked you. I didn't say your name, you know. And I just keep watching and watching this. And how do they think that they're really going to survive doing this?
They're not.
No.
The only reason I've just had my best month ever. And it was because I decided to take a different direction. And I'm going to keep the path of it. I want to get interviews. And here's another thing I've done that other people won't do. I've interviewed John A-Light. I've interviewed Hootie. I'd interview anybody. And I believe anybody has the right to be interviewed.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of these people that are going to sabotage my show by saying, I'm not going to interview this, this, and this. So if you look at everybody else around here, there's a lot of people they haven't interviewed. And that's their fault. Yeah. Because there's no way they could tell me that any of these guys they're interviewing have your life story.
Right.
They don't understand it.
No.
You know,
yeah.
I like to say to people, why did you inform?
Mm-hmm.
And most of you have the same answer. You know, people don't understand. And don't get me wrong, there's certain guys that don't inform, and you wonder how the hell they do it. You know,
these guys, they were cops all their lives. They were firemen all their lives. They were executives all their lives. Guy could have been a doctor, a nurse, whatever facet of life they're in, whatever they did for a career, whatever opportunities. Sometimes they just get tired of it, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't they say, all right, this is enough? You know, a cop might get shot and say, you know, something, I don't got it in me no more. I don't want to do this no more. It's okay for them to say that, but it's not okay for us guys to do that. Didn't they all swear oaths? They all did. Protect and serve.
And I've seen many people on here
that preserve life. Didn't they make oaths too?
Yeah.
Listen, any oath made with man is not binding in heaven. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. So you know what they mean? Nothing. That's what they mean. Go ahead, Lee. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no problem. You know, and that's the thing. You got people on here that like go after people they call rats, but then they're doing it on their show.
Yep, exactly.
You know, and if you're doing it on your show, you're sure the hell going to do it when the cops sit you down or the FBI. They don't understand what it's like to be sat down and to have the FBI at you. You know,
listen, let me explain something. Even some of these guys, they might have did county time. They might have did 2.5 years. They might have did this. They might have been, when I did my time. What were you looking at? I was looking at life. What were you looking at? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I could do that. I did more time in the hole. You understand? They have no understanding and no comprehension. Now, I honor any guy, A-Light, any of these guys that stood up, did the right thing, went to prison, you know, but did they face what I faced? Did they do what I did? No, absolutely not. You know, and
their life was nothing like yours. I'm sorry.
No, they have no idea.
No,
they have no idea.
And people, I just like to say one thing. People, if you don't understand what I'm saying, pull up Bobby Luisi's life, read about it, read his book, because I'm going to tell you, I was shocked. And I really got into Bobby Luisi today. And if you like there's people that like books like Murder Machine and stuff like that. Read about Bobby Luisi's life. That's all I can tell you. And, you know, and that's the truth. I mean, I think my life was exciting. My life was nothing compared to yours.
Well, listen, I'll tell everybody, we're praying the book's out by the summer or the end of the summer. with the COVID and everything, there was a lot of problems.
Yes.
Putting out the book and doing everything else. And we're just hoping it's out by then. So these people are going to have a good read and they really see what happened up here in the 90s. That's the main thing. That's the main thing.
And it's amazing that when the mob started coming to the end is when it seemed to have gotten the most violent.
That usually, that happens in a lot of different things. Well, the violence really, you got to remember, Philly was in a war, the Colombos are in a war, and the Patriarchas are in a war. 3 major families in the country were warring with each other. Right there's a breakdown. Now we're trying to pick up the pieces from those wars and put everything back together. With the surveillance, with the informants, with everything that's going on, it's almost an impossible task. Because you got to be afraid now, whoever you're dealing with.
And now they got equipment that they could put 2 rooms over.
Oh, yeah.
And hear what you say. They could put a vehicle outside. I mean, how, they could put a helicopter above your head and hear what you're saying in your house. Mm-hmm. It's nothing like it used to be.
No.
I mean, it's just insane to even think that you can get in that life.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as bank robberies no more because there's no money in the banks.
Yeah.
Everybody's using credit cards.
Yeah.
You can't even go rob a jewelry store no more. It's nothing like it used to be.
They're all too smart for that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They learned after all these years with the technology and everything. They don't need it.
And now the gangsters are sitting in Washington and they're sitting in top of these corporations. That's where
there's always going to be Cosa Nostra in this country. There's always going to be gangsters, but it's not going to be the way that it was.
I want to ask you one quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think the Russians presented a lot of problems when they started coming over here?
I don't think so.
No.
No, I really don't. I mean, they were looking for their territories that they had, but no, I don't think they're the problems that people think, Look at Mike Frances. He was working with the Russians. They're an organization. They're guys to make money with. They want to make money with you. No, I don't think that was a problem.
And before we close this out, is there anything that you'd like to say or talk about your channel or what's coming up for you?
Yeah, well, Bobby Luisi, the Bobby Luisi Show on YouTube. Also, you could go to BobbyLuisi.com. I got products up there. I got the cups and the T-shirts and everything else. Like I said, I have a book on Amazon, God's Plans Revealed. Anybody wants to look at that. And, Wednesday Night Live, that's our staple. Yeah, I have over 100 shows up there, a lot of mob interviews. So there's a little something for everybody.
And Bobby, let me ask you a question. Did you ever think that you'd be putting up a coffee cup to talk about your life?
No, never. Never.
Yeah.
But you want to know something? I enjoy it. It's a good hobby. I love the people. I love to interact with them. I learned this when I started to teach, how much I love to teach. And it just changed me. It just changed my whole outlook. And this is a form of communication. And hopefully soon I'll be preaching again on YouTube. But it's going to have nothing to do with the mob stuff. That's still in here too.
That's part of us that never dies is that, I remember when I used to do some bad stuff and I would have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling you get in your body when you're in the middle of doing it.
Yeah.
It's a feeling you can't describe. It's like heroin. And not that I know what heroin is, but it's an unbelievable feeling. And, I always think about that adrenaline rush what I used to get. And, I don't want to get that no more because I don't like the end result. You go into prison.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to say again, I'm happy that you're getting more into this new platform. And I hope you do well with it and keep it up.
I will.
Stay out of the drama, and hopefully there's going to be a lot of good interviews coming to you.
Yeah.
God bless you, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Bobby, for showing up.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this. I just want to let you know that.
Thank you.
Okay. And you take care and tell your buddy to call me and maybe we can arrange something for the end of the week, beginning of next week. I'd love to.
Well, let's put this up and let him watch it first.
Okay.
I'm sure he's going to give you a call.
Okay. You take care.
All right. God bless, Paul.
Likewise. God bless you.
All right.
Okay, people, I really enjoyed that interview. And I'm going to tell you something, people. When I read about that man's life, we come on here to read about gangsters. This guy was a gangster. I mean, his father was murdered in a restaurant with his brother. The things that he's been through in his life, I mean, it's simply incredible. And, I seen a side of him when I was talking to him here now. There's a serious side to him that you would know that's the man that you don't want to mess with in the street. And I really enjoyed doing this interview. And I hope that you guys like it. And so if you can like and subscribe to me, I would really appreciate it. Hit the bell, the notice bell. I'm going to do some lives. I got a little bit of drama out of the way today, saying a few things, and I'm done with it. I'm done with it. These are the type of interviews I want, with people like this, because this is the entertainment that you guys deserve. You don't deserve that other crap. And with that, thank you people so much. And I really appreciate it.